Y'all want to talk about new releases coming out in March? Because I absolutely do. March is a pretty stacked release month. There are 4 new book Tuesdays in March, and so we'll go week by week and I'll tell you about what's on my radar. The first Tuesday in March is March 4th. Here's a quick preview of all the books I'm looking forward to that month. The first is Scott and Bothered. This is the sequel to Kilt Trip, which I really enjoyed reading last year. This comes out on March 4th. I believe you can read it without having read Kilt Trip, but if you haven't read Kilt Trip and you're looking for like a fun Scottish escape, go ahead and pick that up first. Also on March 4th is The Other March Sister, which is a queer retelling of the other sisters from Little Women. I'm very excited to see how this plays out. I'm not a huge Little Women fan, but I do just love a queer retelling or remix of a story, so I can't wait to read it. The third book in Rebecca Thorne's cozy fantasy series, Tones and Tea, which starts with Can't Spell Treason Without Tea, continues in March with the release of Tea You at the Altar. I've already read this and absolutely loved it. It brings back so many of your favorite characters from the first 2 books, and they're all on a mission together, and I can't tell you what they're up to, but there is a very special wedding being planned. I think a lot of us are very excited about the release of Oathbound, the 3rd book in Tracy Deon's Legendborn series. The first 2 books are absolutely phenomenal. Whether you are from North Carolina and want to read a book set at UNC, whether you want to read more Black books written by YA authors, or whether you just love a really good magic series, this is phenomenal. You're gonna love it. There's even a little bit of a love triangle going on, and the 3rd book, Oathbound, releases on March 4th. If you're looking for something a little bit more cozy, we are getting Harvest of Hearts on March 4th, which is a whimsical cozy fantasy that is being compared to House on the Cerulean Sea. A new release that I have been anticipating for quite a while is Say a Little Prayer, which I was sent an early copy of, so I cannot wait to read it, but I believe that this is a queer book set at a summer camp and maybe a religious summer camp, so I can't wait to see where that goes. On a very, very different note, one of the authors of This Is How You Lose the Time War, Amal El-Motar, has released The River Has Roots. I am about 2/3 of the way through the audio arc as I record this, and it is genuinely one of the most stunningly written and beautifully produced books I have ever listened to on audiobook. This is a can't miss. It is a very short novella, but I cannot more highly recommend getting this on your TBR. And finally, for March 4th is Ava Reed's newest book, Fable at the End of the World, which is a Hunger Games-esque story. It's a dystopian fiction, and it is a standalone, which as far as I'm concerned is a bonus. I can't wait to check this one out as well. On March 11th, we have a number of new releases. Here's a quick preview of what you can expect for that day. We have 2 magic books, Homegrown Magic and Anatomy of Magic. Anatomy of Magic does feature an OBGYN who is at the top of her career, who ends up going to Mexico to learn more about her family and its history. And both of these books have very strong ties to family and culture. Homegrown Magic is actually a team of authors who are making their adult debut, so I can't wait to see where they take that. Also on March 11th, if you loved The Nightmare Before Christmas, which is just an absolutely good time romantasy book featuring the Prince of Christmas and the Prince of Halloween, Go Luck Yourself comes out on March 11th. I have no doubt that it will be fun, joyful, and an absolute blast to read. We have 4 big releases on March 18th, 2 of which are romances. The first is The 9-Month Contract, which seems to be a lumberjack romance, and the original print release will have sprayed edges. Additionally, we have the newest book in the Dream Harbor series, The Strawberry Patch Pancake House. I read this, I loved it. I have a full review on my TikTok. It will also be in my monthly wrap-up, but it was 5 stars for me, and I think you'll love it too. The much anticipated additional release in the Hunger Games series, Sunrise on the Reaping, which features the second quarter quell, Hamish's Game, comes out on March 18th. As you know, I'm teaching a Hunger Games in Society course right now and running a Hunger Games book club, so I will obviously be starting this as soon as it's out. I think I will be going to a midnight release party. If you would potentially be interested in a Hunger Games recap summarizing the other 4 books in the series to prepare for Sunrise on the Reaping, let me know in the comments, and I think we can make that happen. And the last release for March 18th is Camila Nunez's Year of Disaster. I'm very excited to read this. It features a queer woman who is Cuban, exploring some of her family background, and I don't think ever read a book from a Cuban main character, so I'm very excited to check that out. And finally, 2 releases for March 25th. The first is When the Moon Hits Your Eye by John Scalzi. My friend Kelsey read this and said it was phenomenal. It is about a future day when the moon turns into a wheel of cheese and the way that everybody navigates that. It sounds very silly, but Kelsey said it was good, and I always trust her recommendations. Also, The Keeper of Lonely Spirits, which is a cozy fantasy release that I think a lot of us are looking forward to. And that is a wrap on March 2025 releases. If there are others that you're looking forward to, tell me all about them in the comments.